Tier 29 Stitch minion. It's pretty powerful, 550. Tier 29 is obviously very challenging. We're at 23.5k power against 55. This should be possible. It will be tight. We're using a team that has attack up, defense down, infinite lure, root, and just a lot of damage coming from Zerg. There's really two approaches to this fight, and it kind of depends on what happens. The main thing is you need to survive the first bit, though. So Sully is key here. We are going to manually target Stitch, force the enemy to come after only Sully. And now we have the infinite lure activated, which is very important. So we're going to special here. We're going to root. Okay, so we only got one of them. So that's unideal. Usually we want to get at least two of them in that because the amount of damage that we can actually do, of course. So we're just going to keep on attacking here. We're going to special here. Going to use Zergs. We got at least two of them. Did not get Stitch. That's okay. So when they're stunned, we can obviously reposition them. We want Stitch to heavy, basically. When he does his basics, most enemies will do about 4 basics in a row, and then they'll use a special or a heavy of some sort. So it's very typical, but the way that Stitch moves, I really don't like it. It seems very erratic, and so it's hard to time and hard to, well, get right, basically. Because if Stitch gets you, he gets you really good, especially on tier 29. So there we go. So now we rooted 2 of them together, one of them being Stitch. Sully is just going to focus here. You can see we have 7 attack buffs at the moment. We're going to run away from that spot. We want to use Sully's ability here to kind of reposition them if we can, because the closer we can get them together, so right there, we just rooted all of them together. Now I'm more comfortable with attacking Stitch since I know he can't move, and those goons also can't come after me. Usually when you hang out pretty close to them, they'll end up using heavies and whatnot, which is a lot more typical. And by typical, I mean you can anticipate it. So whenever you can anticipate what the enemy's going to do, it's really helpful. It helps you with knowing where to attack and your positioning, and it just makes the fight quite a bit easier. So we always want to be mindful of our positioning. We want to try to, root multiple together, or even Stitch just closer, because we know this goon is going to go down. The goon is not the problem, Stitch is the problem, so we're going to use this. I probably should have used Jack's special beforehand, but it's not a big deal. We're going to keep this guy at the back, going to special. That should have gotten both of them. Yep, so that's good. I'm going to give it a second. Attack Stitch, he's heavying. Yeah, and now it's basically a win case of, there's a minute 44 left. You have an option here. You can either keep on attacking with Sully, like Zerg is not going to rapid fire very often. He's going to every 4 shots or so, or use his special, and that's fine. We want to be mindful of Stitch and when he goes metallic, because he ends up getting a defense bonus. So if we can ever knock him back out of that, that's important. And if we can't, allowing him to special again so that he removes that defense is important. So here, of course, when the Titanborn spawn, they have to attack Sully, which is good, because it means that they're going to ignore Jack, they're going to ignore Zerg. It just means you're in a safer position. You always want to be mindful of the shocks that are coming from them, because enough shocks will actually end up stunning you. So you don't want Sully to be stunned. Actually, at this point, you can probably get away with it because you can probably manual Zerg to win. Usually when I'm in a punch-up fight like this, I will keep on going with Sully just because I have mine built for attack, so he does extra damage rather than being more defensive. But sometimes we also end up losing him when we miss a dodge and stuff like that. So we got a little lucky there. But also with Sully going that low, he will get an attack buff if he goes below a certain threshold. And the more teammates that go below that threshold, so if all 3 go under, then he gets an attack buff out of it. And, that can be helpful. It's sometimes a little detrimental and a little scary because Sully getting that low is, well, not ideal. And that special, I should have timed it and waited until that the Titanborn was on top of Stitch. So then I would have done damage to both of them, killed the Titanborn, and actually, not killed Stitch, but done more damage. So here, I like keeping Stitch in the corner because it's very easy to see where he's going to special or heavy into. So you can just move from one axis to another, meaning either up and down or left and right. Jack Skellington, as you see, is still super useful. He's not doing a lot of damage, but you can see that the amount of damage my other characters are doing is now significantly higher here than it was at the beginning of the fight. And even being like over 30k down in power, we're going to finish this fight with 27 seconds left. So it's a pretty easy punch up once you get used to the fight as a whole. It's a pretty fun fight, to be honest. You do have to run the clock a little bit. Not every fight goes that smoothly, but overall, it's a pretty easy punch up as long as you know what you're doing and you implement certain strategies.